How's it going, guys? My name is MrHurriicane, and once again today I am talking Madden 16. I've been here the last couple days talking about the new info released for the new Madden coming out in August. I've talked about the new mode Draft Champions and gameplay yesterday. I'm continuing on today with more gameplay, this time focusing more on the defensive side of the football. Now, yesterday's video about offense did have some defensive stuff in there with the wide receiver and defensive back interactions, so if you haven't seen yesterday's video about the first set of gameplay, the air supremacy and more about the offensive side, definitely check that out as it'll help the defensive gameplay make a little bit more sense. But as far as today goes, I do have some new things to talk about once again on defense. So subscribe if you have not already for more Madden 16 info and obviously content when the game releases. But we'll jump into today's info as the article is once again down in the description below. But we start off with playing the football as a defensive back and starting off with the ball hawk feature, which was introduced a couple years ago and it made it very easy to user pick on Madden. And the article states that this feature has been heavily revised to ensure the most aggressive path possible to the football. From the other gameplay information, we know the receivers are supposed to attack the ball this year with the aggressive catches, so things have seemed to be evened up a little bit with both sides of the ball being able to actually attack the football rather than have receivers just wait for it. So as a defensive back, you can play the ball like we have been using the ball hawk feature, but you also have the option now to play the receiver, which you would like to do if you were not in a good position to make an interception or if you had a physical disadvantage against the receiver. So new this year is the play receiver DB mechanic. Hold the A or X button once the pass is thrown to play the receiver. This drives you towards the receiver as opposed to driving you to a catch point. It says in the article that this feature can be used to dislodge the ball during a catch like you would expect, and I'm assuming it makes it easier and has you in better position to make a tackle if the ball is caught by the receiver. You're just not going to get interceptions using this mechanic. I like that they added the play receiver option because I'm guessing that in Madden 16, the great receivers, the ones who can make spectacular plays like Dez Bryant and Calvin Johnson, those guys should be very, very good. The best those receivers have ever been in Madden 16. And it should be easier to give these guys the football and let them win battles and make catches. To counter that on defense, you obviously want that conservative option in case you are beat or in a bad situation with a shorter corner perhaps. So we'll see how this plays out. This is basically the number one thing I'm looking for when I finally see a good amount of Madden 16 gameplay. But that is it for this section on defensive backs and the new control there. It kind of ties into the information yesterday. But we now move on to organic gang tackles, as gang tackling is back in Madden. It was gone for a while and now it's back. They say Madden 16 delivers the most dramatic tackles in franchise history with a fully organic physics-based gang tackling system. So, once again, they are hyping up the gang tackles, and we're just going to have to wait and see how they actually look in the game, and if momentum is used properly, and if players have the awareness to join in the gang tackle, or just basically all the elements of how a gang tackle works. I am less worried about how 5 or 6 players are going to gang tackle Marshawn Lynch. What I want to see is when you run a dive up the middle, will a linebacker and defensive tackle both have a successful, cohesive tackle that brings down the ball carrier? There are a lot of negative or short gain carries in the NFL because of that exact situation. Simple, small gang tackles near the line of scrimmage where there are obviously the most players on the field. That is where I think gang tackling is the most crucial, and especially in goal line situations, I want to see those massive pileups near the goal line. That is where you see quite a bit of them. But again, we have to wait and see just how these organic gang tackles actually work. But it does say here in the article that this supports a limitless number of defenders attaching to the ball carrier. The system is complemented by new dynamic gang tackle animations that can, quote, go organic based on additional defenders in proximity. So hopefully that means that defenders aren't wasting any time and actually becoming part of the tackle, and this can limit yards after contact and look a little bit more natural. Also listed here, they have added half sacks to the game, and they're now properly tracking assisted tackles as well, which is a good step up because we want those two stats, obviously, as half sacks, I believe, were just rounded up in Madden 15. They have made other tackling improvements, as they say some users complained about feeling too much suction in the conservative tackle system, and this led them to tune both the tackle cone and match distance to eliminate warping or suction from the tackling system without sacrificing control or responsiveness. They have also addressed aggressive tackling, as defenders will now always dive towards the ball carrier instead of just the direction they're facing, which I got in a lot of trouble for that in my Sammy Hollins safety series, as I really have never gotten a comfortable feel for the control of a player, an individual player, in Madden 15. I just don't really feel comfortable moving laterally with them and lining up square with the ball carrier, so hopefully this makes it easier if you're trying to make aggressive tackles and actually hit the player and not just dive past them. To the next section, we have quick adjustments, and they're making it easier to hot route individual players on defense. I haven't had too much trouble with this in the past because they do allow you to switch players by pointing the left stick towards the player you want to switch to and then hitting the switch player button. But now they've made it so you can select the group, defensive line, linebacker, or defensive back, choose individual adjustment, select the defender, and set the assignment. I'll have to try this out because I was pretty comfortable with my previous way of hot routing, but we'll see if this cuts down on time at all, as hot routing on defense has never been ideal. A few more improvements they have briefly listed here at the end. QB spy logic has been updated to be more effective at stopping rushing quarterbacks. Contained defenses and logic have been improved to help counter the new rollout in scramble mechanics. New mechanic where users can now make their defenders in a spy assignment abandon the spy and chase the quarterback at any point in the play. This is done by clicking in R3 once the ball has been snapped. I think this is a great feature because if you are calling a spy, chances are you're not using the guy who is actually in a spy. So now you can tell that player to just go after the quarterback, which is useful if you see the quarterback starting to take off and you want to just get the quickest jump possible. Or if you get the opportunity to just rush the quarterback if a wide open lane opens up and you have a chance, you can now take that chance. I also think this feature will be very useful online to stop opposing players that like running with their quarterbacks. They have also resolved an issue where users would not have enough time to audible to onside kick recovery when their opponents caught them in normal return versus onside kick. And last, the offense can no longer use no huddle to consistently cause AI defenders to be called off sides. That wraps up the information for this article, but I'm going to be going through one more article in this video talking about penalties and AI. But to wrap up this talk about defense, once again, I like to focus on receivers and defensive backs, their interactions, and how they attack the football. I like the ability to play the receiver conservatively or attack the football using the familiar ball hawk mechanic. I just want to see how this stuff works out, and I think organic gang tackles could be great if they are used in the way that I described earlier. With that, we will now move on. It's AI improvements and penalties. As it appears, penalties will be a lot more common in Madden 16. As a hardcore football fan, I really like this. They have added some new penalties and updated other penalties, and built a system to control penalty frequency. Every player is assigned a penalty trait based on real-world NFL data, which determines how likely they are to commit a penalty. This is the right way to do it. I was questioning this, I think a couple days ago, about whether a certain player would be more likely to commit penalties, and this answers my question. So those guys who have more false starts, more holdings, those guys are going to be called more often for flags. I'm hoping they added this trait to scouting so you can compare two players at one position and see who is the more disciplined player. So as we continue on, players' in-game strategy has an impact on penalties as well. For example, pressing cornerbacks are more likely to commit a defensive holding penalty, our favorite, right? While goal line and max protect calls make offensive holding penalties more likely. Mistiming the off-the-line mechanic can easily draw a neutral zone infraction or encroachment penalty. Finally, all penalty sliders have been updated to allow players to fully customize the experience to their liking. The default slider setting is based on NFL penalty averages over the last 5 seasons to make both penalty type and frequency as authentic as possible. So hopefully this year we see some defensive PI. There should be some defensive holding. We should have more penalties of different kinds, and it should play a role in how games are actually played. The updated list of penalties in Madden 16 includes encroachment, false start, offensive holding, face mask, defensive pass interference, illegal block in the back, neutral zone infraction, defensive holding, illegal forward pass, illegal touching, delay of game, kick catch interference, running into the kicker, unnecessary roughness, and roughing the passer. Note that one missing from this list is offensive pass interference, which was previously in the game, but it wasn't very good. So I'm not sure if they do have offensive PI in the game and it wasn't listed here, or if they need to work more with how that's going to work for the next Madden. But hopefully, whether it's only defensive PI or they have offensive PI as well, hopefully it looks good in the game, animation-wise. But they do have defensive holding and offensive holding, so we'll see how the two holdings both work as well. That is it for penalties here as we move on to the more artificial intelligence-oriented stuff with procedural awareness head tracking. They have included added logic for quarterbacks, running backs, receivers, and defenders so that each head and eye track uniquely based on their position. Quarterbacks will scan the field for open receivers, ball carriers will alternate their gaze between incoming defenders, and players will track other players around them after the play. You may even see players looking up at the scoreboard on a breakaway run. I am very interested in this mainly from 2 positions, wide receivers and defensive backs. If my receiver is looking back at me and the defender is looking away, I like to think I should have an advantage in that situation if I do throw it. We'll see how the game handles that situation when we actually get to see some gameplay. Next up, pre, post, and during play motion quality. They have touched on several major systems like huddle break, walk to line, pile get up logic, pile avoidance, post play pathfinding, and more. Players can expect a dramatic reduction in pops, warps, slides, and other issues in Madden NFL 16. The main issue I want addressed is the collision detection between a ball carrier and a tackler. Far too many times this year on Madden 15, I've seen a defender tackle a player despite not actually colliding with them, but the animation for both the ball carrier and the tackler still takes place. It looks extremely awkward, and it's obviously a very major issue. So we'll see if that gets addressed. And now finally we have some legacy issues. They have updated quarterback spy logic, where the quarterback swerves the spy exploit. Not very familiar with these exploits, by the way, that they've listed here. Flip the play to speed up huddle break issue has been addressed. Out of position subs causing exploitable routes has been addressed. I'm not sure if this means, like a lot of teams that I face in franchise, love putting their tight end at wide receiver, and that puts them matched up with a corner and then a linebacker on another receiver. They've also addressed rocket catching / mossing / DB glitches. Those have been significantly reduced and or eliminated. A large percentage of the known nano blitzes have been removed. Good. The play action end around exploit play has been addressed. I'm again not familiar with that. Route swapping exploits have also been resolved. Again, I'm not sure. A variety of money plays have been revised or altered, and they've resolved the friendly quit glitch for Madden 16. I have no idea about many of these exploits because I've yet to play a standard head-to-head game on Madden 15, and I've only played a couple seasons of MUT, so I mainly play against the computer in franchise, so I had no idea most of these issues even existed. But if they are issues, it's good they are fixed because I do expect to play a lot more online in Madden 16. But to wrap up this article, I'll say that I'm definitely happy that penalties are going to be a lot more frequent in Madden 16. I'm just hoping they are not too frequent and that they look organic when they actually happen and the animations actually make sense. Especially for defensive pass interference and defensive holding, which defensive holding is a new penalty in the game. The head tracking has me slightly intrigued, and I want to see if you can use that head tracking to your advantage as a player. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of the information I talked about in today's video. Over my last few videos, I have gone through a lot of information about this game, and now we'll wait for gameplay and see how much better this game is really going to be. Looking forward to your guys' thoughts in the comment section, and if you have not, hit that subscribe button and check out my other Madden content on my channel already. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on your way out, and I will see you guys next time. Have a great day. Regular content is on its way, starting with Panthers franchise. See you guys next time.